Our previous videos mainly told the story of the Mesozoic era, an ancient time dominated by dinosaurs, where mammals lurked in the shadows for 200 million years, waiting for their chance to rise. In the skies, pterosaurs reigned supreme, while birds, like mammals, were gradually emerging. In the oceans, marine reptiles battled fiercely, and sharks were poised to reclaim their position at the top of the food chain. But today, our focus shifts to the hidden winners in this chaotic world, the ray-finned fish. This vast and complex group, known scientifically as Actinopterygii, comprises over half of all vertebrate species. The tale begins in the late Silurian period, some 420 million years ago, when the ancestors of vertebrates evolved a potent weapon, the jaw. With this weapon, ancient fish species, including our protagonists, the ray-finned fish, embarked on a global conquest. Though both ray-finned and lobe-finned fish belong to the bony fish group, the former faced a somewhat tragic fate compared to their contemporaries. Throughout the Devonian period, most ray-finned fish fell under a classification called Palaeoniciforms. While this might seem unremarkable, it's important to note that any early ray-finned fish that paleontologists couldn't quite understand ended up in this group. During the Devonian, ray-finned fish mostly looked alike and lived similar lifestyles, chasing prey in murky waters. Many believed they wouldn't survive a mass extinction event. Yet, to everyone's surprise, they did. Despite their small size and limited numbers, ray-finned fish not only survived but thrived after numerous marine extinctions by occupying numerous ecological niches. Thus, Palaeoniciforms flourished around 330 million years ago in the Carboniferous period. Their morphology began to change, and finally, ray-finned fish shed their marginal status. However, new adversaries emerged swiftly: cartilaginous fish. The evolutionary rivalry between cartilaginous and bony fish began, and ray-finned fish soon found themselves at a disadvantage. Despite belonging to bony fish, the ray-finned fish of the Carboniferous still had cartilaginous skeletons. Meanwhile, cartilaginous fish had already reinforced their cartilage with a bony sheath, giving them an advantage in strength and resilience. Additionally, while the scales of early ray-finned fish were similar in texture to those of cartilaginous fish, their arrangement differed. Ray-finned fish had scales arranged flatly on their bodies, while cartilaginous fish had overlapping scales, resulting in slightly higher swimming resistance for the former. However, these subtle differences had significant consequences in evolution. By the late Carboniferous, about 300 million years ago, cartilaginous fish had largely outcompeted ray-finned fish. Just as ray-finned fish seemed destined for extinction, nature intervened. During the late Carboniferous, Earth experienced its most intense global cooling since the emergence of animals, known as the Late Paleozoic Icehouse. The planet froze over, and sea levels plummeted dramatically. Yet, this wasn't all. About 250 million years ago, as the Siberian supervolcano erupted, life faced the most catastrophic mass extinction event since its inception, the Permian-Triassic extinction. Cartilaginous fish suffered heavily, and they never fully recovered over the next 100 million years. However, through some means unknown, ray-finned fish survived. Their stroke of luck was short-lived. Hundreds of millions of years ago, their bony fish counterparts, the lobe-finned fish, chose to venture onto land, spawning descendants that became the new enemies of ray-finned fish, marine reptiles. Unfortunately, ray-finned fish, almost like living fossils, couldn't contend with marine reptiles. Luckily, marine reptiles, being large-bodied, couldn't occupy the ecological niches at the ocean floor, providing ray-finned fish with a breathing space. Yet, their misfortune persisted. Ammonites rose in the oceans, firmly occupying lower ecological niches. Though ammonites evolved later than ray-finned fish, they put more effort into their evolution. By the Triassic period, ammonite armor could withstand most attacks from marine reptiles, and they mastered rapid reproduction strategies, making them challenging to eradicate. At this point, it seemed ray-finned fish were destined for extinction. Yet, they chose to continue evolving to adapt to adversity. Despite being evolutionarily behind, they mimicked cartilaginous fish, optimizing their skeletons to enhance speed and agility, giving rise to actinoptery, the narrow sense of ray-finned fish we know today. Through this series of adaptations, ray-finned fish carved out their ecological niche between marine reptiles and ammonites. Ray-finned fish possessed immense evolutionary potential. For instance, podonychthyes, living 230 million years ago, could leap out of the water and glide briefly, while saurochthyes of the same era pushed the speed of small oceanic swimmers to new records. Yet, despite these evolutionary advancements, ray-finned fish couldn't surpass the contemporaneous dominance of ammonites, whose distribution and diversity far exceeded theirs. Though suppressed by ammonites, ray-finned fish had their advantages. Their slender bodies and lightweight fins endowed them with exceptional swimming abilities, while their large heads allowed for gaping mouths, around which their subsequent evolutionary changes revolved. Their fins became more lightweight and robust, and their heterocercal tails transformed into homocercal tails, maximizing swimming speed and maneuverability. Crucially, they evolved calcium-based bones, becoming true bony fish. Thus, a new lineage of ray-finned fish, Holostae, emerged, building upon their rigid skeletons and revamping their jaw joints for rapid, powerful suction feeding, complemented by their robust swimming abilities, allowing them to swiftly approach prey and ingest it with ease. Finally, during the Jurassic period, as Pangaea fragmented and the globe warmed, the oceans witnessed a new era of prosperity. Marine reptiles reached their zenith, and cartilaginous fish, led by sharks, resurfaced from the depths. Competition in the oceans intensified, and in the face of formidable predators, armor became ineffective. Marine creatures began adapting en masse, an event known as the Mesozoic Marine Revolution. Ammonites, perhaps due to limitations in their body structure, failed in their attempts to increase speed. Those remaining began blind evolution out of desperation. However, ray-finned fish, which had been steadily enhancing speed and agility since their inception, emerged as the ultimate victors in this revolution. Predation pressure from marine reptiles accelerated the evolution of ray-finned fish. Starting from the Jurassic period, a group of ray-finned fish with near-perfect abilities rose, the Teleostae. They changed their scales from flat to overlapping, significantly reducing swimming resistance, propelling ray-finned fish to the pinnacle of aquatic locomotion. By the late Jurassic, ray-finned fish had spread to nearly all marine and freshwater habitats. Some attempted to climb the food chain, such as Leadsichthys from the late Jurassic, possibly exceeding 9 meters in length, one of the largest ray-finned fish known, and a top predator in Jurassic oceans. Eventually, As oxygen levels rose in the late Cretaceous, ammonites began to decline. Their larvae, reliant on low oxygen waters to evade predators, suffered. By the end of the Cretaceous, their diversity collapsed. Finally, 65 million years ago, with the impact of a massive meteorite, along with the extinction of dinosaurs and pterosaurs, ammonites faded into extinction. Ray-finned fish emerged as the most flourishing swimmers, a position they still hold today. Though lacking in sharp teeth, claws, monstrous sizes, and fossil representation, ray-finned fish, through hundreds of millions of years of evolution, transformed from inconspicuous fish into the most diverse group of vertebrates. Their success should not be overlooked. So, the next time you watch documentaries featuring massive oceanic creatures, take a moment to admire the schools of fish swimming in the background. Remember, they are also remarkable players in the story of evolution.